Welcome to another episode of the Unbound Book Babes, and we want to welcome all the unbound, unhinged, and unbothered book babes out there to join us for another episode. This one's going to be about Finnish folklore and a story, specifically a series that it inspired. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So the story that was inspired by Finnish folklore that we're going to talk about this week is the Underworld Gods, book 1 through 3. There's going to be 3 books. The first book is River of Shadows, and this series is by Karina Halle. She also wrote Blood Orange. Hollow is coming out. She's got a lot of books that she's actually written. I did not realize until doing my research for this video that she wrote Blood Orange. Had no idea. It's been in my Kindle Unlimited shelf in my Kindle to read forever. I started it. I'm 2% in. Now that I realized who it's by, I want to really sit down and read it because I enjoyed River of Shadows so much. The second book is called Crown of Crimson. Also very good. Ends on a huge cliffhanger. And the third and final book of the Underworld Gods is called City of Darkness and is actually out November 22nd. So that's coming up here fast. So before we jump into Finnish folklore, I want to give a brief synopsis of the story River of Shadows, how it starts. I don't know. I don't consider anything I'm about to say as a spoiler because if you look up the book on Goodreads, I did a synopsis of the blurb that is on Goodreads. So, and I cut out the last part of it too because I did feel it was slightly spoilery-ish, kind of. If you're in the fantasy, romantasy realm, you're going to be well, I kind of get where that's going. So I did cut that part out. So proceed with caution if you would like. I promise I really try to redact any type of spoilers that would happen. Introduction to the story. Hannah Hennigan leaves her busy life in LA to go to northern Finland to her estranged father's funeral. She discovers her father's body is actually missing, and some truths about her father are revealed to her by a super mysterious man. Mainly that her father was a powerful shaman who went to the realm of the dead to Tuonela to barter for more life, which got him captured and imprisoned by the god of death. She then decides to travel to Tuonela to rescue her father. That's how the story starts.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you learn all that in very, very few chapters. Of course, you get some of the backstory about, how she was estranged from her father and stuff like that as well. So, to dive into the folklore portion.
Before we jump in to the folklore section,
Yes.
this is a great time to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with all your folk friends. And, we'll pause while you subscribe to the channel. All right.
And if you're
now
on
that they're
YouTube,
back, they did all those things.
And if you're on YouTube, Mom, this one's for you, because we talked about it. I forgot to show you. Once you select subscribe, there's going to be a drop-down menu next to that button, and it's going to talk about notifications. If you click on that and you click on the bell and that says all, you will get all notifications for everything that we post through YouTube. You're welcome. Okay. So, also, I had to look that up because YouTube changed it. So I'm happy to point it out for everybody, not just my mom, because I could not find the bell when I was trying to figure it out for my mom. And then they tied it to the subscribe button now. So because before you could subscribe or turn on notifications, but you have to subscribe first and then turn on notifications now. So now we all know. Okay. I want to talk about a book that helped me learn quite a bit about Finnish folklore outside of what was presented to you in the River of Shadows book. There is a wonderful book. It's on Kindle Unlimited, and a lot of the illustrations that I'll be posting today of these entities are illustrations from this book. So the book is The Finnish Book of the Dead by Tina Porthan and illustrated by Tero Porthan. Again, it's on Kindle Unlimited. Very cool. Illustrations are mind-blowing. Super awesome. They're all black and white. I don't know. You'll see them posted here if you're watching the video. And if not, just go check out that book and flip through it. It's free to do. Might as well anyways. Finnish mythology actually has a pretty unique underworld. This underworld is referenced as a few different things typically. So Manala, or the space or area under the earth, is one of them. More commonly, you're going to hear it, and what you will hear it referred to in the story is Tuonela, or the realm of Tuni. The realm is run by a family. And in the original folklore, the rulers, there's Tuni, the god of death, and Tuonentar, his consort. They rule Tuonela together, and they actually have 5 daughters, and they each have unique roles. So, like, there's one of...
That's a lot of hair in the drain.
It is. So, there are, like, one is, like, goddess of suffering. The other one is, like, goddess of decay. The other one is the mother of the 9 diseases. So, it gets very deep. And you want to talk about, like, last week... we talked about Russian folklore, and Kristen had a challenging time being able to, read the translations of the names of these entities. I don't even know where to begin on how to pronounce the names of those 5 daughters. So I'm not going to try, but again, you can find this information in various places on the internet, because that's how I found it. But specifically in the Finnish Book of the Dead. So I'm going to talk about those who are involved in the Finnish Underlord in relation to the story. So I'm going to focus on those characters for this. I'm going to try to do a very good job of not spoiling anything for everybody. So in the Underworld, in Tuonela, there is the World River, or the River of Tuni. This river separates the worlds. So the world of the living from the world of the dead. And it also flows north and south, but then upwards towards the heavens. It feeds the roots of a birch tree of the heavens, and then it actually falls back down to the underworld, to Tuonela. And so there's kind of like this cycle of flow for these spirits in this underworld. And it is impossible to cross this river into Tuonela if you're a living creature. It's supposed to be impossible to cross it. Like, living entities are not supposed to enter Tuonela. But there are 3 ways to cross. The first way is a bridge made of thin thread, swimming across, or taking a boat that is piloted by Tuni Tete, or the Maiden of Tuonela, who is one of the daughters of Tuni, the god of the dead.
I mean, that's super interesting, simply for the fact that a lot of different folklore and mythologies have somebody that ferries souls across a river.
Yes.
It's always interesting to see those similarities.
It is. So you have this maiden that, you have to, like, go to her and say, yes, I'm dead. Please ferry me across to Tuonela. And
You have to pay her?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I mean, I know you got to pay on the river Styx, right?
I do think you pay in a way, and we're going to get there. So I think there is, like, a payment made. Yes, but it's through...
like gas or grass.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is really interesting, though, because the Maiden of Tuonela will only shepherd those she believes to be dead. And there are some stories about some people who, in the folklore, who had convinced her to let them across. And we'll get to why in just a second. Why people would attempt to go into Tuonela.
Obviously a double dog dare.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, actually. So the river is guarded.
Things transcend culture.
Yes, they do. It's a thing. So the river is guarded by a black swan that sings death spells. So the guard dog is a swan, which I think is a very good guard dog because swans freak me the fuck out. They're aggressive. They're big ass birds. They will fuck me up, and I will give them their space kindly. So
in Finland, people view black swans as the guardians of the underworld.
The black swan is the guardian, of the river and of the entry to Tuonela.
Wow, I mean, the Greeks, what's the name? Because the Greeks have their three-headed dog, and his name is Cerberus, and that translates to spot. So I was just curious if I don't know what a generic swan name would be. Oh my god, please let it be Blackie.
So it's just referred to as the Swan of Tuonela. Or Tuonelan Justin, a sacred bird. Yeah.
Oh, they didn't even give it a name.
Yeah.
Assholes. Just kidding.
So, fact about the swan is that if you even attempt to kill or have intention to kill the swan, it is punishable by death.
Which seems silly, because aren't you already trying to die by crossing the river?
Well, some people are trying to get in to Tuonela who are living.
And some people are trying to get out?
I don't know.
So the punishment is what you already are?
Possibly, or what you're going to be no matter what, eventually. So...
Okay.
And this next bit kind of explains why, there's punishable by death. There is living people try to visit Tuonela to gather information and spells to become more powerful. Shamans are really big in Finnish folklore, and it is believed that their spiritual power comes from the dead. So traveling to the realm of the dead, to Tuonela, to learn these spells and interact with the dead can make you more powerful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And about that payment that we referenced before to be shepherded in. So there is...
It's weed.
What?
It's weed, huh?
It's definitely weed. No, it's not. Kind of. I mean, it's not weed. There's no... Well, let me just talk about it.
She said kind of.
So there's another entity that you end up meeting, and he is Tero, and he gives out a memory erasing beer, which is actually a potion of poisonous plants and animals that wipes out your former life. All your memories from your living life get wiped out.
What?
Yep.
So it's a potion of beer.
It's a beer. They reference it as a beer, but it's actually a potion of poisonous stuff to make you forget your memories of your life.
I mean, spoiler alert, regular beer does that, but yeah, go off, son.
And in the story River of Shadows, the two entities that you see outside of Tuni, the god of death, he plays a pretty large role because it's his realm. He owns it, right? He is king. He wears this mask. He wears this skull mask in stuff in the story. And I'm going to put some pictures on screen of the main character, Hannah, and Tuni, the king of the dead. and then some other pictures of these entities, like the swan. But in the story, Tete and Tuinar, who is a male in the story, he is the son of death. And so there's two siblings, and the maiden of Tuonela and the guy who gives out the beer, they are in River of Shadows in this story line, and they play a pretty active role in the storyline. The story also goes into some other entities in Finnish folklore. Let me pull them up really quick so I can tell you. There are a ton of just like creatures and stuff in Finnish folklore. So there is the Elk of Hissin.
Sounds scary.
Yeah. There are different spirits, and a lot of these spirits have a counterpart that they're typically married to. So there's like the god of the forest and then the goddess of the forest, and they have different like abilities, but in relation to things that have to do with the forest. So like, let me see if I can find a better example.
It's really lovely though. A lot of these folklore creatures aren't married in other cultures. So it's really sweet that they get to work together. A little dynamic duo. I guess it's not cute if they're hunting you and they're teaming up, but
yeah,
cute for their immortal souls.
Yeah, so there's like, and there's also like a dichotomy thing going on too. So you have Ejatar, who is an evil forest spirit. And then let me go to Uku really quick. Uku, which means old man, the god of sky and thunder. He's kind of related back to Thor. And you have his counterpart, Akka, old lady, female spirit, female counterpart of Uku.
Wait, so their names are literally old man and old lady?
Mm-hmm.
You guys are killing it in Finland.
Yeah, and then there's some different Tapio is a Finnish forest spirit or god, and he has a wife, the goddess of the forest, Milikai. So yeah, you have the god of hunting, and you have the goddess that balances him. Pretty interesting to
I love that for them.
Yep. Whoops. Again, let me draw it.
This looks bad.
Oops. A lot of Finnish folklore is actually housed in a book called the Kalva, which is a 19th century work of epic poetry compiled by Ellis Laurent. And it's basically somebody finally just compiled a bunch of oral folklore. Farquad.
I can't wait for next week when we hear about the spoon lore.
Oral folklore in mythology through spoken word, poetry, illustrations that had just been passed down through generations. So when you are looking up Finnish folklore, you're going to see the Kavala come up a lot. But it's quite interesting because none of this was compiled till the 18th century. So it was a lot of time.
That was just being passed around orally.
But
I don't even know how to say that without, right? There's no other, what's another word for that?
I'm sure there's one, but I ain't got it. So, in a short synopsis, that is a very brief introduction to Finnish folklore in relation to Karina Halle's A River of Shadow and the Underworld Gods series. So it's a highly recommend book from me. It is a romantasy, and it is definitely like if books had a rating on it, I would definitely say 18 plus on this one for sure. The I believe it to be in the second book. There is a scene that made me blush so hard. So, I warned you. And I read some shit.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I blushed and I read some shit. So, you know.
This was a great introduction. I had so much fun today. I've never looked into Finnish folklore. This was awesome. Thank you so much. You did a great job on that.
Thanks. I friggin' had no idea either until I read this book. And then I read this book over a year ago, or these two books probably almost 2 years ago. Almost 2 years ago, I read them, and I did a deep dive back then into it, and then I just did a little dive this time around, and I learned something new every time, and it blows my mind how it genuinely unique it is, in regards to kind of the setup of the underworld.
Very cool. Well, thank you. Thanks for this introduction.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending us all down the rabbit hole.
You're welcome. I really hope everybody enjoyed that. Again, leave us a comment if you have read this book, what you thought about it. If you have any other requests, this is a big one. If there's any other folklore that you would like to hear us cover in relation to a book you read or mythology, leave it in the comments below. We'll get to reading that book and doing a little bit of a dive into that folklore mythology to expand upon why and what. Please know that we are coming up on our end of season. So we're doing in a couple weeks, we will be doing a live to kind of wrap things up that we will record and we'll post. But we are going to take 2 months off. So we're going to take the month of November and December off so we can prepare some good materials for you guys. Moving into our second season, I wanted to preface that now so you're aware of it going on and what we have kind of coming in the next few weeks. So be sure to not miss out on our last couple episodes of our first season. We love to have you here and we really enjoy doing this. Your continued likes, comments, and subscriptions really help motivate us to continue, because our whole point of doing this is to build a like-minded community and be the voice and be a part of it. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to having you listen to our next episode.